Shalom, Israel. Name's AYB. You're listening to Little Sanctuary Israelite Facebook group. It is the 26th day of our 5th month of, and the 3rd day of this week. I saw a post the other day. It said, did Zechariah 14 already happen? I want to show the best I can here through this post that it indeed has happened. If you look at all the current events happening, all the fires and the tornadoes and the volcanoes and the earthquakes and the tsunamis and the hurricanes, what have you, droughts, floods, okay? Not to mention the wars and the plagues, as it were. Today, let's read Zechariah 14. And this shall be the plague. This shall be the plague, wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. This is if you put, let's just say you put a person in a giant microwave. This is kind of like what would happen to them. The radiation, a plague. This is the plague, a type of plague, which is in the Bible's jargon and phraseology. It talks about plagues of different kinds. Okay? Now let's read Zechariah 14, verse 18. And if the family of Egypt go not up, and come not, that have no rain, in other words, they've been already punished with drought, still refuse to come up, there shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Have we had that here in this world? A demand that everybody go to Jerusalem by the Messiah, the King, to keep the law of God with regard to ceremonial things like the Feast of Tabernacles, which is a requirement in our God's law for his people, that we keep this Feast of Tabernacles as well as all his other holy days, which he has designated in his calendar. Not Rome's or Washington's or London's, okay? Not Hong Kong's or anybody else's. The Maya calendar. No, that's not it. This, what it's talking about here, is happening during the millennium of Christ's reign. Think about it for a second, read it, And then consider this is happening during the reign of Christ during his 1,000 years. It's a temporary kingdom. It's a temporary. It's like a temporary kingdom of God, which takes place under the old heaven, in this old earth, and in the old Jerusalem, over there in the Palestina of Middle Earth. Okay. This is happening during the millennium reign of Christ. The plague of drought will be accompanied by the plague of atomic detonations dropped in their midst. That is, the nations which refuse to obey God's commandments, in particular the ceremonial law, which demands that we go over to Jerusalem and participate in the Feast of Tabernacles, which is actually a big giant party. Why not? Why not go over there and hang out, go camping, and have fun? But these people, these nations, which already have drought, refuse. This is the rod of iron with which he will rule the nations. Okay? Let's read Zechariah 5. And he said unto me, what seest thou? This is Zechariah. Read the whole book of Zechariah if you're interested in learning more about what's going on during Christ's millennium. What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. Is it a pita bread roll, or is it a cylinder? He seems, when he describes it, he seems to be describing a cylinder which is like a mile long and a quarter mile in diameter, or something like that. You know, this is a massive, massive flying apparatus. Okay, so I see a flying roll. The length of it is 20 cubits, and the breadth of it is 10 cubits. I don't know what that is in actual dimensions of today, but it is not little. It's not a little tiny helicopter. It's not a drone. Okay. Okay. So then he said unto me, this is the curse. What is a curse? A curse is a plague. What is a plague? A plague is a curse. Okay? This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth for everyone that steals shall be cut off as on this side according to it. And everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. So these flying rolls that he sees drop bombs. They may be atomic bombs. They may be neutron bombs. You know what I'm saying? Or there may be different kinds of bombs that we don't know anything about today yet. Now, or they could just be rays, like death rays. Okay, which I think Tesla wrote about. So these flying rolls drop bombs or whatever on the rebellious nations during the millennium reign of Christ. Let's read on here. Zechariah continues, I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. This is like what happened in Egypt during the time of Moses, when God brought 10 plagues on the Egyptians. Okay? I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof. So wood and stone will both be consumed or disintegrated, burned up by uh, this plague, this bomb, and its effects. This is the effects this thing is happening on them, and this is happening again during the reign of Christ. Look at Revelation chapter 12. And she brought forth a man child, not Mary, but the nation of Israel, through the auspices of Joseph of the tribe of Judah. Okay? Okay, this is the nation of Israel. Brought forth a man child. She is referring to the nation of Israel, the 12 tribes, in particular the tribe of Judah. This child, this man child, was destined to rule all nations with a rod of iron. That speaks of authority based on force. That's a police state. That is a state that leaves no wiggle room for the breaking of law, of any law. Okay? Right. Revelation 12:5. And she brought forth a man child who was destined to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. So this is a two-part prophecy. One, he rules the nations for 1,000 years with a rod of iron, and then he goes up to God with his government and leaves the world in the hand of the wicked once again for a short time. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues." That's in Revelation 18. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book, if any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. One of which is radiation, massive amounts thereof, for the disintegration of matter. Okay? Deuteronomy, in Deuteronomy chapter 4, it speaks about what's happening. Now, therefore, hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you for to do them, that you may live, and go in and possess the land which the Lord your God, the God of your fathers, giveth you. You shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught. Who has diminished aught from this word, the book of this revelation? Who has diminished it? The finished testimony from 1611. It had 80 books, Today, for the majority of so-called Christians, 4 billion, supposedly, approximately, it has been diminished. One faction has 73 books in it. Another faction has 66 books in it. Not 80, which was the finished testimony. Okay? So, there you go. The flood, these droughts, earthquakes, fires, volcanoes, what have you, these are all happening during the millennium reign of Christ. We have in our heads that the millennium is a paradise where nothing bad is happening. That is not the case, ladies, brothers and sisters, boys and girls. That is not the case. The millennium is a time of peace for those that keep God's commandments and abundance and prosperity for them. But it's a time of turmoil, upheaval, punishment for those that refuse to keep God's commandments. And that's happening during the millennial reign of Christ. Why does he need to rule with a rod of iron if everything is peaceful and everybody's okie dokie? Because that's not what's happening during his millennium. There are those that are with him and those that are against him. They don't like this black guy having the rule over the entire earth. They don't want a black man being the emperor of the whole world. So this is why the time today, which we are living in now, is so strange. It just seems so strange today. Think about it. And it's confusing. All of the people, they're saying stuff. If you're researching and trying to find what's going on and the truth, history and what have you, some say it's the Mandela effect. Others are saying it's the many worlds matrix theory, or it's CERN punching a hole in reality. Or it's the Vatican saying it's one thing or another. The bankers, the scientists, the Satanists, and, you got all kinds of theories and philosophies, humanists and transhumanists, okay? Androgynous, androids, okay? Transverse, whatever. Hey, but the one theory which actually surpasses all of these other theories and makes the most sense is being ignored and not really being given any voice or much of a voice. That is that we are now living after the millennium of Christ, during the time of Satan's little season of deception, which will be for a short season of less than 400 years, according to 2 Ezra chapter 7, verse 28. Read it. It is part of the Bible canon since it was finished in 1611. There's 14 books, which makes it 80 books. Okay? Not 77 and not 66. There's 80 books in the Bible, and that's the finished testimony. That's not to say you can't use other books. to supplement and support what's in these 80 books, but not to take away or add to it. They shed a lot of light, the extra biblical books like Enoch and Jubilees and Asher and Book of Giants, and there's other books. Yes, many other books, and they all have something good to offer, as long as they don't take away or add to this finished testimony from 1611 of the 80 books of God's holy canon. This little season theory makes a lot more sense than all these other theories and encompasses everything that is happening and is happening in what you would call it. What did I say over here? In the geologic, archaeologic, architectural, geographic, and anthropological records. It makes a lot of sense, yo. The little season. Take it into prayerful and careful and studious, in-depth, inductive research. Fast. If 1666 was the year in which Satan and his human component, the Edomites, were released back into the general population of the human race, the earth being given back into the hands of the wicked, which is the Edomites, and the little season will only be in effect for less than 400 years, which would be 2066. That means we only got like 40 years within which this could possibly be terminated. It could happen next week with the leadership that we have in place now. They only getting crazier and crazier. They went from crazy to crazier to much more crazy. The leadership. Okay? Pray for them so that we can continue to live in peace and have the freedom to spread this actual gospel of the kingdom. The eternal kingdom, not the temporary kingdom of the 1,000 years. Okay? That's why it's important to keep God's commandments and the faith of Christ. That means don't sin willfully. Learn the commandments and do them. There's over 400 commandments that deal with morality, stability, diet, dietary, and ceremonial, and your dress code. Modest dress code. Okay? Good manners. Have good manners. Live a good manner of existence in God's holy book, in the Spirit of God. Yeah, man. There's a whole lot of lies and there's a little bit of truth. You gotta sift out. You gotta use your noodle and sift out what's true and what is not. Take your time. Don't believe the church or the state or the scientists or the bankers. work out your own salvation, because it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. He is the king of terrors.